start recording. And we're recording. Let's make sure. Oh, there it goes. And watch now. Okay, perfect. Hello everybody, it's me Scoop. Welcome back to another night of Destiny 2. So the Exorcism mission officially came out, and I played it, and it was pretty solid. Apparently for a lot of other people, it wasn't very solid. It was incredibly buggy, as a matter of fact, which is unfortunate. I did load into a bugged version of it initially, like the run was halfway through, and it wasn't working, so I just immediately went to orbit, came back in, totally fine. I didn't have any issues. I got the cutscene and all that, so I'm very sorry if anyone did have to deal with that. But I figured that why not spend maybe 2 hours playing through some of the PvE content of this year before it goes away and hanging out, having a good time. I'm just going to check the stream audio real quick. I'm going to take my headset off and turn on the audio on my Mac. I'm just going to check the stream audio real quick. I'm going to take my headset off and turn on the audio on my Mac. Oh boy, this is going to loop forever, isn't it? Yikes. Okay, we're going to make the music just a dot louder. Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay, we're good to go. So, I don't know, I just have my typical Warlock build, Stasis obviously because it's fun, melee, the exotic where melee hits will heal you. What is the new, oh yeah, this one. Okay. Seventh Seraph Carbine is fun, but I actually have a new boy that I enjoy. Oh, don't make me. Okay. Where is my cold front? Come here, boy. There you are. Cold front. There we go. And where do I have the auto rifle? Yeah, we gotta swap dems out. Screw anti-champion mods. No one needs dems. Boink. I don't think I have anything else for. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So we're just going to run through some content for the year and, you know, talk about how the year was. So I figured while I talk about a certain season... Oh no, I forgot to keep track of... Oh no. Oh no, it's the last week. I'm not going to get... Oh no. No, wait, that's not it. Oh. Oh, wait, I did get Splicer. Oh, that's... Or wait, no, not Splicer. Oh no. Wait, I don't even remember which one. Splintered. I have... So, for the Beyond Light title, which is Splintered, I have one more augment to do, which if you look at the map in Europa, it is this one up here, and I'm going away for 3 months, so I'm not going to get that title, which is really sad, because the what's it called? The Eclipsed Zone is not in my favor this week. Yakadooski. Okay, so... should do Empire hunts. So we're gonna do some Empire hunts, and let's just do Adept, hang out. So yeah, we're just gonna hang out, do the content from the year as like a goodbye. Obviously, the stuff from Beyond Light isn't going away, but we're doing it anyway while I review Beyond Light, and I'm just gonna be giving my thoughts on the year. So yeah, let's start with Beyond Light. I think as an expansion, Beyond Light had a lot of strengths, but it was also probably one of the weakest expansions, not including Curse of Osiris and Warmind, because those were like, you know, those were smaller expansions because they came partway through the year. By expansions, I mean Taken King, Rise of Iron, Forsaken, Shadowkeep, and now Beyond Light. So I never played Rise of Iron, so we're taking that off the table. Taken King, I was like 12, so I guess I could give a couple of thoughts on that, but we're mostly taking that off the table. So I'm mostly comparing it to Forsaken, Shadowkeep, and Beyond Light, especially because that's also just Destiny 2, so I think it's just a much safer and easier comparison. I didn't play D2 Vanilla, but trust me, I have done my research, I have seen enough videos, I know what is what about D2 Vanilla and what Forsaken did and whatever. So, with Beyond Light... Wait, I'm just double-checking the audio one more time. Vanilla and what Forsaken did. So, with Beyond Light... Wait, I'm just... Oh. Okay, that's actually perfect. Because it sounds really loud in my headset, but stream it's perfect. I can, yeah, whatever. Because the actual game sound is relatively quiet, which is the thing. I should probably up that a little bit. Bonk. Okay, so Yeah, Beyond Light, I think we're going to take content vaulting off the table because that would have happened regardless of if this was the Witch Queen, if this was Beyond Light, if this was Shadowkeep. It was just this year it had to get vaulted. Bungie was completely on their own. The game was just like everything was broken all the time. I can guarantee keeping up with it is a nightmare. Is content vaulting incredibly upsetting and kind of morally ambiguous? Yes, I would say it is. But in terms of actually giving us a good game, I think it is a necessary evil. Although now that Bungie's with Sony, we'll wait and see. Oh, that's unfortunate. I think content vaulting seasons make sense, but getting rid of the entire Forsaken campaign, I don't know about that one, Chief. Especially because they didn't even give us a way to replay it, which is kind of disgusting. I mean, I am absolutely under no circumstance deleting character to have to redo, you know, all of Beyond Light, all of Stasis, just so I could replay the Forsaken campaign in like 5-6 hours. Like, that's no way is that ever happening. So I'm just never going to get to play it again because Bungie was too lazy to put a freaking quest chain in to replay the campaign before they deleted it. I'm really upset about that. But this is not Beyond Light. This is not what we're discussing today. So, yeah, Beyond Light. I think the story of Beyond Light was overhyped by the trailers. I think the story was fine. It certainly wasn't bad. It just wasn't very interesting or exciting. Hiccup. I think most of the after story, like the actual campaign itself, had like a serviceable story. That's what we'll call it. Like, yeah, whatever. The Aramis is certainly a villain who did bad things and was antagonizing, and there was certainly plot and whatever. I mean, this is like very bare bone stuff, so this is obviously not praise. If anything, it's kind of an insult. I mean, like the way they hyped up with like there were like character specific trailers, there were like Stasis trailers, there was like this and that, all these like insane trailers, mostly just focused around the story, like for Beyond Light. So I was so incredibly excited, and I thought Bungie was really gonna pull something out here, like a classic Halo story of old. But no, it was pretty weak. I don't have like specific complaints about like things I thought were really stupid or bad about the story. It just wasn't all that interesting. Like, okay, like, you know, going through hunting down Aramis's empire, that's pretty cool. Like, I don't mind empire hunts. I don't run them consistently, but I also don't run nightmare hunts consistently. Or, like, pretty much ever. Like, the only reason I'm doing this is because I was like, hey, what's, you know, Beyond Light content? And this was the first thing I thought of that, like, I could just kind of run and be interesting. So, like, yeah, and, like, the characters were fine. I don't think there were really any standout characters. Varix was a cutie pie, and I like him, but he's not like, oh man, you know, Varix, he's a really complex and deep character I really enjoyed getting to know. Because my biggest complaint about Beyond Light is how Bungie is 501 IQ. Is how Bungie was pushing this thing like, oh, you know, it's the start of like the final trilogy of the Darkness and Light saga, and then like that saga is going to come to an end. We're going to see a new saga. But I think they just straight up did not do that here. Like now, especially, we have the final shapes. Now it really seems like the Witch Queen is the start of the final 3 chapters of the saga. So that whole statement kind of went out the window. It felt very Shadowkeep-esque to me, where like it felt like, oh, okay, so like next year is going to be the really big thing. Like this year is just build-up. But the fact that we got Shadowkeep last year, and it was the build-up to this, which just feels like more build-up for the Witch Queen, I'm really trying not to get my hopes up for the Witch Queen story. I mean, it's too late. My hopes are all the way up for the Witch Queen story. But we'll see. Like, if it's another year of build-up, I will officially lose hope in Bungie's story. But the reason I don't think it can be another year of build-up is because the seasonal stories were actually incredible. This isn't necessarily a complaint. I mean, I'm going to hold this against Beyond Light because it's less fair to hold against the seasons, because the seasons are really good for this, honestly. But the seasons have absolutely nothing to do with the story of Beyond Light. The story of Beyond Light is pretty interesting. I like this whole Braytech vibe, and, you know, the Deepstone Crypt vibe, and all that good stuff. The Bray sisters story. Like, it's interesting, so I would have loved if, you know, the whole year was built around it and developing it and finishing off that story and then transitioning to, like, the story of the Witch Queen, but it all kind of hangs together with the Darkness and Light story. But they didn't really do that. Beyond Light was all about, you know, what I just said, that stuff with the Bray sisters and, you know, the getting darkness powers and Varix and the Elixir. bug noises, all that kind of stuff. Oh, Ryan, what's up? I just saw your chat in the chat. I don't know if you're still here because it says only one viewer. What was I gonna say? Dang it, Ryan, you made me lose my train of thought, but I'm happy you're here. So, yeah, so it was an interesting story, but they completely dropped it. So that's why Beyond Light mostly just kind of feels like build up and like, hey, let's give the Guardians darkness powers. But I think arguably one of the biggest flaws of Beyond Light was just the lack of payoff of Season of Arrivals. Like, if you didn't play Season of Arrivals for whatever reason, like, you're a new Guardian this year, because I know a lot of people are getting into the game now, and getting into the game because of Witch Queen, and just, have gotten in because all the seasons have been good, and you didn't play Season of Arrivals, because obviously you got, vaulted with Beyond Light. No, I'm gonna die. Okay. Season of Arrivals had, there wasn't a crazy amount to the story, but the cliffhanger ending and, build-up it left you on, oh my god, the fact that Beyond Light, I was so angry with Beyond Light that I actually quit Destiny for a solid month maybe after it came out because of how crappy the payoff of Arrivals was. The ending of Arrivals, so Season of the Arrivals was Season 11, so all of Season 10 was the worst season. There was basically no story. I can't even remember, something about Rasputin. But basically, in these little, bunkers we were uncovering, there was this map that showed all of the darkness ships, rushing toward our solar system. So we knew we were building to some, big climactic fight coming with them with Beyond Light. And so during Season of Arrivals, all of the pyramids actually show up and they take over planets, which is how they did content vaulting. But it was literally, Season of Arrivals was literally just for content vaulting purposes. It has literally nothing to do with Beyond Light's story, except for the fact that there is now, obviously, the Darkness Spicy Nacho on Europa, and that's a bad thing, because Europa, they showed up on all the other planets, and now those planets are, darkness zones, and we can't go there. But one's on Europa, and obviously, we're on Europa just fine, so that doesn't even make any sense. And so there was literally no payoff for waiting for the Darkness ships to arrive. They arrive. We had that whole event where the Traveler healed itself, which also meant nothing because the Traveler hasn't done anything. It did. I think it has something to do with why we can't go to those planets in the darkness zones and whatever, but that whole thing basically had no payoff either. And so it was just a whole lot of insane buildup with this crazy cliffhanger where Destiny goes offline because the darkness invades. And then we just go to Europa and get this weird story about where we get Stasis and the Bray sisters and, some fallen dude showing up with darkness. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And then we get into Season of the Hunt, which also has nothing to do with Beyond Light or the Darkness whatsoever, and the entire story this year has nothing to do with the Darkness. And in fact, the Witch Queen, instead of being about an enemy who is now wielding the darkness against us, is going to be about an enemy wielding the light against us. And so I guess if you really want to say, the story of the Light and Dark saga, it's okay, we saw an enemy using the darkness against us, because obviously it's the darkness, so enemies are going to be using it, because, we use the light. But now we have an enemy using the light itself against us. But I have a very strong feeling that it's not necessarily a coincidence that they did that, it's more of just, a thing that is happening in the story. Then it's going to be the nature of light and dark, any enemy could use, we've used darkness. Oh yeah, and we're not the bad guys. But Savathun is using the light, and she's a bad guy. I feel like they're basically just going to say that, and there's not going to be a lot to it. I'm not saying I want this to be the case. Oh, hey buddy. Hey King. By the way, you made my channel host yours. Oh, thanks. Okay. My friend Ryan is here, so he said that when he's not streaming, his channel hosts mine, which I'm assuming is right now if he's in my chat. So thanks. Awesome. I love that. Oh, I never even supered. Alright, I'm going to do the harder version for the next run, because that was a little bit boring. Okay. So, it was very strange, basically. Beyond Light's campaign was okay, it wasn't great, but it had literally nothing to do with anything going on except for darkness powers, meet more. So, I really hated that. Really, really, really hated that. I'm gonna review. So I'm a very story focused person. Most of what I will be talking about is story based, especially for Beyond Light. I mean, we'll get more into gameplay in a little bit, mostly around the seasons. But I'll talk about Beyond Light's gameplay. So, the campaign, for Witch Queen, I'm excited that there's a legendary difficulty of the campaign, because the campaign is my favorite thing in Destiny, and the fact that there's no simple way to replay it constantly is ridiculous. Like, they got rid of daily heroic story missions with content vaulting, which, like, made sense, because there was basically no missions left to replay, because Shadowkeep was incredibly short, and Forsaken, it was those wanted, like, adventures instead of missions to, you know, hunt down Cade's killers or whatever. So that made sense. But the fact that there's still, like, they could at least put something in the Strikes tab that just lists the available missions for you to go back and replay. Like, it's just really odd that there's absolutely no way to go back and replay it. So, yeah, the whole point of that tangent, oh, man, was that I really like the campaign missions. I think they're, like, these well-curated fights. Even better than the Strikes and with, like, you know, the hunts like this one that we're doing. Because they're really meant to be, like, a definitive story-driven, like, kind of one-and-done experience. But I think there's no issue. Like, it's not going to get worse because you replayed it a bunch. I mean, obviously it gets a little bit worse because that's, like, with anything, though. But the general overall experience doesn't get worse just because you're replaying it, like, you know. So I'm excited that the Witch Queen has a legendary difficulty because I would love to be able to challenge myself with the actual story content and not just, like, blast through it. Because Destiny's the most fun when, we'll talk about this with the Season of the Chosen. Yeah, Season of the Chosen. Destiny's the most fun when there are just hordes of incredibly weak enemies coming towards you that you're just mowing down, and the dangers from being overwhelmed than it is like, oh wow, this is a really buff enemy, I can't really chop his health down on my own, because, you know, well, like I said, we'll talk about the Season of the Chosen. So I think maybe a legendary difficulty would be good if they do it right. If they just fill it with tanky enemies that are really... hello? Would you like to take damage, sir? If they just fill it with a bunch of annoying tanky enemies and champions, then I probably won't bother with it. Like, I didn't even touch Legendary Master Lost sectors until now, basically. I also thought they were harder than they were. Like, they're actually really, really easy. So that was kind of awkward. I was, like, basically intimidated by them for most of the year. Because I tried a legend one, like, during the start of Season of the Chosen when I was underleveled and I had just taken a bit of a break from Destiny. So the fact that I was getting clapped in a Legend Lost sector, I was like, okay, I have no chance in the Master Lost sector, but I played them and they're fine. So legendary difficulty in a campaign would be nice. Beyond Light and, you know, every campaign, none of the missions are particularly challenging. I did hear Forsaken when it launched was challenging, but I wasn't there when it launched. I joined during end of Season of the Drifter. So for me, I also steamrolled through that campaign, but, you know, whatever. So yeah, the actual, you know. By the way, IDK, if earlier message went through, but Still Series is giving away keys for some Destiny 2 loot. Oh, I'm gonna be honest. I don't I don't really know what that means. How they give away a key for loot, because it's all about randomly rolled, you know, whatever. And there's I'm good, bro. So thanks for the tip. I did not see that you messaged that earlier, but I got plenty of guns that I love already. So I'm not really. I also have Twitch Prime set up, which gives you some good, like, rewards, cosmetics, and whatever. Also, I'm pretty good on. Yeah, I mean, you could always use more, but, like, I don't know, whatever. Thanks for the tip. That was I'm being weird about that. So yeah, the difficulty of the story has never once been difficult, so hopefully the Witch Queen fixes that. I'm not specifically holding that against Beyond Light, but I feel like the fact that there was literally no innovation in it from... Can someone stun him, please? I don't like using guns that... You know, I don't... Please? Somebody? Do we have anything anti... Can we just... I mean, I'm not here for the rewards. Can we just do this? There we go. That's better. Oh, you got him. Good job, buddy. So yeah, it's good that we're seeing some evolution in the campaign, because there really was no campaign evolution, like, pretty much ever. Obviously, the Taken King had a story that, like, worked and made sense, so I guess that was evolution, but yeah, I think you guys know what I'm referring to with campaign, you know, storytelling evolution. Some other stuff. I think the Dreaming City is still, like, the biggest innovation we've ever gotten in a location before. Savathun's Throne World seems to be trying to recreate those type of vibes. We won't know until it gets here, but the moon, it is one of my favorite Destiny locations. Simply, I just love the creepy, like, hive vibe and the red and the general just look of the moon, I think, is fantastic. Can I please just... There it is. Okay. So there's not really... I never go there because there's nothing to do. Like, you know, Sorrow's Harbor and whatever it's called, Altars of Sorrow, that, you know, fighting waves and waves of enemy activity is really fun because it's just throwing waves of really weak enemies at you with, like, 1 or 2 bosses at a time. That's really, really fun, but I don't like any of the rewards from it. Like, the moon weapons are kind of ass. So I never get to go there. Difficulty adds replay value. Yeah, exactly. A new difficulty would definitely add replay value if they let you go back and replay it, which I don't know if you were here for that, I was just complaining that they're getting rid of a campaign, and they literally didn't even add an option back in to replay it before it's gone. And it's easily the best and most fun campaign they had. So, like, there is 100% a legendary difficulty added, like, they're advertising it a decent amount, but if, like, I choose to play a story mission on regular, and then later I say, oh, you know what, I want to see what that was like on legendary, and I would have to delete a character, the only option to do that would be to play it on a different character or whatever, then that's really, really ridiculous. And I think it's especially an excuse for them to add an option to replay, because it will add a lot of replay value. That's a very good point. Thank you, Ryan. No, get closer. I tried to finish him, but I wasn't close enough. Literally. You know what? We're gonna... There it is. That's better. Yoink. Yoink. And there he goes. The darkness. Beep boop. What else? So, yeah. Campaign, I'm hoping to see more. And so, Europa. So, the Dreaming City was definitely the biggest innovation we ever saw. It had the weekly Ascendant challenges. It had those portals to teleport around. It was like an endgame secretive location, because obviously most of Forsaken story was on the Tangled Shore location, and then in the very end, like pretty much after the campaign had closed, we went to the Dreaming City, which is why it was so mysterious. Shadowkeep, we just got the moon. Beyond Light, we only got Europa, and so what they did was sort of interesting with Europa. I still prefer the Dreaming City Tangled Shore type of thing better, where one is just, you know, you're there, it's like a cool location for the story or whatever, and then one is like a secretive endgame location. But with Europa, you pretty much, like, it was pretty much what it appeared to be on day one, but as the story progressed, more things were, like, unlocked in terms of, like, what you could do on the planet and, like, the story stuff and all that, which was interesting. And I think getting, you know, every year 2 locations is a big ask, and getting one of those locations to be as crazy as the Dreaming City with all those secrets and mysteries, it would almost just be too much for a player to keep track of, honestly. So it was interesting to see it with Beyond Light, but hopefully with Savathun's Throne World, they lean a little more into, because they talked about how the Throne World is supposed to kind of be like the woodsy, old Chicago-ish area outside of, like, the main tower building thing, and then the main tower building thing is where a lot of the secrets are kept. So I think if you kind of section it off, like, you spend a lot of your time in the campaign in one location, and then either... It seems like in the campaign there'll be a lot of secret stuff to find out and unlock, but maybe after there's a lot more secretive stuff than Europa, where it wasn't really secretive, it was just, you kind of had to wait and see how the story unfolded with stuff like the raid, and getting the Lament quest with finishing up the Bray family storyline with that, and, you know, the big Exo head gives you that crazy sword because it has the scientist's mind in it. That sounds really weird without context, I can almost guarantee. Can this freaking slow bubble? Thank you. So, yeah, it was interesting. I like that stuff unlocked over time, and that the planet did change during season, not really even Season of the Hunt, like the couple weeks after Beyond Light, and I think it worked well for the sort of middle expansion, where Shadowkeep would be, like, probably the smallest size we could expect from an expansion, and Forsaken would be, like, the biggest. So Beyond Light was definitely a lot closer to Forsaken than Shadowkeep, but it was still significantly smaller. So I think that was definitely a good idea, because they totally did not have the time to bring us to different locations. So that was definitely a plus. The story was neither a plus nor a minus. It was kind of odd. Location, I would say a plus. I think Europa's pretty cool. I think the icy look kind of wore off a little bit over time. They used it really well in the opening of Season of the Splicer. which I guess I'll talk about during my season of the Splicer review. But beyond that, like, especially with the whole thing that they were pushing that weather system so hard, and it literally, like, doesn't do anything. Like, it's basically never on, and when it is, oh, wow, there's wind, and I can't see where I'm going. That's so fun. Like, if anything, I don't like the weather system, because it's just kind of an annoyance. Like, it's not that cool that, oh, wow, my sparrow is going the wrong direction now, and I can't see. Like, is it more realistic and, like, yeah, but is it more immersive? No, because it just makes me annoyed, so it actually takes me out of the game. And I guess the general, like, icy look, you can only take so much of that. The whole planet has, like, no diversity. There's really just the whole icy thing, and then there's this area that we're in now, you know, Braytech. But Braytech is basically not even part of the open world. Like, there's no Braytech area of the map. It's literally, if you look at it, it's just the whole map is just ice, and then Braytech Exoscience goes all the way off to the side over here. So it got boring over time. The initial look was okay, but the moon, to me, never really got boring. I think it was always, like, a really, really good-looking location, even if Shadowkeep itself was a bit, you know, lacking in terms of actual content and stuff to do. But it definitely, but yeah, Europa definitely has a lot going on. Like, I am here a lot to do stuff and things. I don't really do Empire hunts, but yeah, they're here, and they're not bad. For whatever reason, whenever I do decide to do them, it's always this one. I don't think I've done most of them. Actually, I think I've almost only done this one, and maybe, I don't know any of the names of the Empire people, but that one where you're off on, like, those ledges that you're jumping around, if the guy freezes you at the wrong time, he'll just kind of annoyingly fall to your death. I did that one, like, once, and I think I did that one where they keep building those platforms that you have to jump between. That sounds like the other one. Now the boss is building the platform, so you're jumping between them because they're appearing and disappearing. The other one is, like, just those three kind of mini platforms with the one in the center. The one where he's building platforms, I think I've done, like, 3 times maybe. And this one I've probably done, like, 12, 13 times. So I'm getting really sick of this one. I don't know why it's always the one that I end up getting, but whatever. It's my fault because I choose to do them the week that this is the one. But when I was grinding Cloud Strike, it was this one. If I ever just decide, I'll do one for fun or whatever, then I'll get this one. Or I wanted the Europa armor for my Titan build, like, just to look cool. It ended up being this one, stuff like that. Whatever. That's obviously not the game's fault. That's just kind of a very odd turn of events that never broke for, like, the entire year. I think the Exo challenges, some are good, some are bad. I'm not even going to wait for Season Chosen. I'm just going to say it because I've said I'm going to wait for Season Chosen 10 times. Bungie, they didn't really get this. I'm going to do the simulation actually right now. They didn't get this with Beyond Light, especially not with Season of the Hunt. Throwing hordes and hordes of enemies at us, high enemy density, 100% the way to go in terms of content creation. Like, that's when Destiny's at its best. Because look at my super. My super is just shooting ice bolts everywhere and then blowing them up, and then the ice bolts scatter into other ice bolts to get other enemies that I then blow up. Like, if I don't have that many enemies, I never feel like I need to pop my super, which you guys witnessed in that first Empire hunt. There's not that many enemies, and they're all so weak. I never bother, because I'd rather just shoot them in, like, 3 seconds than pop my super and have to go pew-pew, pew, pew-pew, bing, pew-pew, bing. I could just go brrr, dead, brrr, dead. Like, you know. So, the enemy density in pretty much all of these is a little off. This one is actually probably my favorite of all of them. So it's good that this is the one that... I don't know if they're daily or weekly, but you only do them once a week anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's good that this is the one I'm doing, because I actually really enjoy this one, because it's a decent enemy density, and you're running back and forth, which makes it feel higher than it is, because, you know, you're trying to guard both sides at once, basically. So while each side isn't, like, really overwhelming, it's just trying to get back and forth. I think they gave the Ziggurat too much stability if you look over in the corner where it says 100%. Because I don't even... The only way it goes down is if they shoot at this whole area in the center, and there's just not enough enemies for that, so if they shoot it, it's never going to go... Can you move, sir? It's never going to go below, like, I don't know, 90 maybe? Like, they're all just shooting at it right now. It's literally doing nothing. Like, they're just standing here. And I think in general, like, a lot of something, especially because this is a pretty unique item where you have to complete a quest chain post-campaign to unlock, like, a weekly cycle thing. That type of content, like, whatever you have to unlock post-campaign and you don't just have access to. Empire hunts are different because there's obviously difficulty selections, but overall, Destiny just needs to bump the difficulty up. Like, yeah, strikes, it makes sense that they're super easy because you could just jump into them and do it, whatever. Like, you're not really supposed to take them all that seriously. There's nothing, like, crazy in terms of rewards from a strike. It's more about the Nightfalls, which obviously has the difficulty option like the hunts. But something like this, like, it should just be harder. Just give me more enemies, maybe up their health a tiny, tiny bit each, but just flood me with enemies. Make them deal a little bit more damage, stuff like that. Make me work for my pinnacles is what I'm saying. Just kind of running through a bit of a nonchalant cycle of activities every single week is, you know, it's whatever. Like, I'm not putting in the least amount of focus, and it clearly, this ziggurat has not gone below 100%. So yeah, the post-campaign stuff was very, very strong and Beyond Light, much, much, much stronger than Shadowkeep. I basically didn't touch Shadowkeep outside the story. I was really focused on the seasons, because especially then when it was just the season, the content was only available during the season, you really had to spend your time on it wisely, and I wasn't playing as much, except for during, you know, COVID and Arrivals. And Arrivals was also an extra long season. But, like, I never really grinded out any of the weapons or anything. Because I never enjoyed most of them all that much, and I don't even know, what else was there on the moon besides, I mean, there's the dungeon and the raid, but I'm not really counting that as moon content specifically. It's more Shadowkeep content, because, like, I mean, you're in the Black Gardens, you're not even on the moon in the raid. But obviously I did a bunch of that raid. It's a good raid. People just suck at it for some reason, so it always takes forever. It's really annoying. Oop. Ah, that's why I like that exotic. Okay, can I get to the boss right now? Yes. Please. Yeah, here we go. See, now we're gonna super, because there's chunguses. There's big chunguses. I remember one of my, like, favorite Beyond Light memories was trying to do, I'm not even kidding, trying to do the Beyond Light strike day one with, like, no leveling, basically, just trying to rush through the campaign, just because being under-leveled made it so fun. Like, that was way more exciting than any Grandmaster would ever be, because it wasn't flooding me with, like, champions and 100 yellow bars and this and that and the other thing. It was just the enemies have a lot of health, and they did a lot of damage. And, I mean, would have I enjoyed it more if the enemies were weaker and there were just a lot more of them, so I was, like, theoretically taking the same amount of damage, but I had to kill more things, but it was easier to kill each thing. Yeah, but it was a good start. That was a very oddly specific example, so we're going to move on from that really quickly. Okay, like, this is not difficult content. You make us incredibly strong, and it is fun, and we enjoy stuff like Gallahorn, but you don't give us enemies to use our Gallahorn against fairly. Like, look at this dude. What? I didn't even need the bolts, and I'm sure I, like, tripled his health with that one rocket. Not that it needs, like I keep saying, not that it needs a lot more health and to do a lot more damage. I mean, if there were a bunch of enemies around for it to spread the splash damage and then get the little dots going everywhere, be a little more exciting, boys. What did I get from that? A hood? I mean, I don't care about the pinnacle cap anyway. Probably, yeah, I should probably do that just because I can. Bing bong. There, 1330 pinnacle cap. Okay, so what else was there to talk about with Beyond Light? We could talk about Deepstone Crypt. I think Deepstone Crypt, it's not a perfect raid. Like, obviously, every raid has flaws. Like, there's never, ever gonna be a perfect raid. But I think it was the perfect raid in Destiny really needed that. Isn't that? Oh, that's the sword one, and then stealing stasis is the. Oh, yeah, see, those aren't. It says mission, but those aren't really missions. Those are more post-campaign quest missions or whatever. Yeah, so Deepstone Crypt is the perfect raid in that it's very short, it's very easy, but it's really cool. Like, it's one of my favorite raids. I don't really have the urge to replay it because it's a little too easy. But I think for like, I wish it was the free raid that new players could try out because, like, my friend John, who I used to stream with, obviously Scoop John, you know, whatever. We play Destiny together a lot. I think one time he cleared it in like 40 minutes, 30 minutes start to finish, which is just for a raid. Like, yeah, it shouldn't take 2 hours, but 30, 40 minutes start to finish, that's a little short. Like, it's a little too easy. I think, like, even if you have a raid where, like, you don't wipe once, it should be, like, an hour. Not, like, minimal, like, if you really speed run it, but just, like, casual players running through it in 30, 40 minutes is not a good look. Ooh, the Warlock Bond is actually really cool. Huh. Let's see how it looks. I might transmog this. I mean, obviously, did I trans... No, that's the raid one. Let's see. Oh, God, we need to be able to favorite shaders. Oh, it looks basically the same. Nah. I'm gonna stick with that one. Yeah, so it's easy. I'm not going to go over individual encounters or anything. It's really not that specific of a review. So, yeah. I'm not going to give Beyond Light a score or anything. We didn't get a... Nah, we didn't get a dungeon with Beyond Light specifically. Nah, we got Prophecy, like, returned at some point. It's on the tower, right? I don't even... Man, I haven't done Prophecy in forever. Prophecy is so good. Something I do want to see, this is not anything to do with Beyond Light necessarily, because they were... The problem with Beyond Light was it was hard to change a lot of things, like with the story missions, and now what I'm about to say about the raid in the dungeon, because a lot of it was removed. I feel like, they're, especially with Witch Queen, because there will be... Ooh, the bungee projection. Oh, that's a bit pricey, though. There needs to be weekly rotations of everything. Like, it's kind of stupid at this point that there isn't, like, a weekly rotating raid. I think... Once a raid comes out, a month and a half of It's the Pinnacle, or a dungeon a month and a half of It's the Pinnacle, and after that switch it to a weekly rotation. I really don't think the Pinnacle grind matters, like, especially when the Pinnacle is 10 levels, my artifact is 21, and I have not been grinding the least bit. I was just kind of chilling. I was pretty much just chill playing this season. It was a bit of a busy season until these last couple of weeks here. So yeah, the what's it called? You get 10 from the Pinnacle, 21 from your artifact, and a Grandmaster Nightfall is... that's Strikes. Or that's Crucible. A Grandmaster Nightfall is 1370. So I'm 20 power levels under, including like the 10 from the Pinnacle and the 20 from there. So do the 10 Pinnacle points really matter, or Pinnacle power level even matter? Like, I really don't think they have to be too concerned with how many Pinnacles they're giving out at once. Maybe... Someone talking? Whatever. So if they really want to, they could do, like, there's a weekly rotation and the newest one is the Pinnacle or something like that. Whatever. There's just got to be something more. Like, okay, this area looks really cool, because it's this big... open, just white, snowy area with this, like, the darkness thing breaking through. It's really drastic. This looks sick. The rest of Europa looks pretty not that exciting because there's a bunch of walls and it's not flat. You can't see anything. And you have, like, the pyramid floating in distance. This is a great vibe. This whole area right here is a great vibe. The rest of Europa is a lot less good. Especially the really north area. Or, actually, no, Camdus Ridge. Camdus Ridge is easily... These two areas are pretty ugly. Asterian Abyss is okay. These two areas... are butt ugly. Like, they just do not... Excuse me. They just do not look good. Like, at first, I really love the icy look, so I didn't mind those areas, but... Like, when you compare it to how cool this is, like, with Keitel's ships over there, like, the Vex architecture breaking through in the distance, the old frozen city you can see, Jupiter, the Darkness ship, the Ziggurat, like, oh, man, this area... So yeah, I think with Witch Queen there needs to be weekly rotations of that kind of stuff. Just like general evolution, variety, Like, I want to be able to go back and play old stuff for actual rewards, not just because it's fun. You know? Like, yeah, I do play stuff because it's fun in this game once in a while, but I usually want to also get rewarded. That's kind of the point of a looter shooter. So anyway, we are going to move on to Season of the Hunt. So, yeah. Do I not? Yeah, I do. Okay. So, Season of the Hunt obviously launched with Beyond Light. Man, this is really a confusing little area over here. How was Season of the Hunt? Season of the Hunt, people were dunking on Season of the Hunt. I just think the issue with Season of the Hunt is that it's so aggressively disconnected from Beyond Light. It might as well have... It makes Beyond Light, and this is always an issue. This happened with Shadowkeep as well. I mean, they were loosely tied, but really not much. The fact that the... what's it called? The season is not tied to the campaign and launches like 2 weeks after the campaign makes the campaign feel really unimportant, especially this year. Like, Beyond Light feels so uneventful when you compare it to Season of the Hunt, which had like no plot, because Season of the Hunt kicked off the entire rest of the year's story, and the rest of the year's story was amazing, and it has basically nothing to do with Beyond Light, which is really whack. So the story this season was just the spider had Crow, like, he basically owned him like a slave, hopefully not sexually, that'd be horrendous. That was a really horrendous joke I just made, let's ignore that. So the spider, like, owned Crow, who's obviously revived Guardian Aldrin, who killed Kate 6, but he doesn't know any of that, but we do. And we do a bunch of something with Zivu Raph is trying to take over the Tangled Shore, and Spider's like, and you gotta help us, because Spider wants to own the shore. And so we help him by repelling Zivu Raph's forces. And this was the final mission. Boy, were times simpler when this was the buggy mission that, you know, we didn't wait like 3 or 4 months for. I thought the whole thing with the Cryptolith and the Cryptolith lure was actually a very good idea. It was a good way to get targeted rolls on things. I like the Cryptolith system, but my problem with things not rotating is that once the season was over, it really, I never touched it again, because, like, I was too busy doing, you know, whatever the thing for Season of the Chosen, and then once Season of the Chosen was over, I was too busy doing Override, and then when Season of the Splicer was over, nah, I'm just kidding, I didn't play Astral Alignment. Astral Alignment was easily the worst activity here, but we'll get to that later, obviously. Oh, womp womp. Can you, sir? Thank you. Wait, what? Killed by the Architects. I'm looking back at what just happened there. Interesting. It looks like I shot Gallahorn at the floor, but whatever. So yeah, Season of the Lost, Season of the Hunt. I don't even know. It was fine. I really don't have that much to say. It had a not super eventful, but also pretty interesting story about, you know, the spider like owning Crow, Zivu Raph approaching, and just like the Hive Gods kind of approaching. Obviously, the first part of the story leading up to the Witch Queen. I love the Tangled. Oh, hello. I love the Tangled Shore, so I was happy to spend a bunch of time there. Yes, the Cryptolith lore took like literally 2 minutes to finish off. I don't care. Like, just let me kill a boss, get a piece of loot, and get out. That's totally fine with me. It's not good to build an entire season around that, that's for sure. But it by itself is not necessarily a bad piece of content. But I could see, especially if you're, you know, a streamer, like, that would get old so fast. But as like a side piece to a season, I think it would have been fine. But yeah, on its own, it was just not good enough. Maybe if we got like a couple other missions like this one, it would have been seen a little bit better. But the fact this was kind of the only mission outside of that little intro one was not good. And it, of course, set up that whole thing with Osiris very obviously being Savathûn. It is interesting that people were kind of... One of the biggest pieces of the theory was like, oh, they would never kill Sagira off screen. Like, are you kidding me? But they did kill Sagira off screen. It just so happened that, what's her name? The Witch Queen, you know, was taking over his body, so... Was taking over Osiris' body. So that's probably why she killed Sagira, because it would be... She couldn't, like, contain her, whatever. So, it doesn't really matter, but I just thought that was really funny, that it was revealed Sagira 100% died off screen, and yet the evidence was that they would never do that. There we go. Now I get the double. Boom. Boom. Oh, hello. And this mission on its own is also really good. I love the running back and forth between dimensions. I think it was a little ridiculous to not have Crow fighting alongside us. He was like, "Oh, we're gonna keep flip-flopping between dimensions together. So I'm in the normal dimension, you're in the whatever taken dimension, astral plane, whatever." And then that was a little ridiculous, but it's a very minor thing. So yeah, season lost. Not much happened. Not much to say. It was a fine season. The weapons were uneventful. I like that linear fusion rifle though. That's a solid gun for sure, especially with their buff this season. Like dang, that's my go-to and content heavy, unless I just use Sleeper Simulate. But for legendary lost sectors, that linear fusion certainly comes in handy. All right, we're gonna do this. Bing, bong, bing. Oh, hi. That's probably okay. I'm just adjusting my microphone a tiny bit there. Oh, hello, big boy. I love Galahorn. Yes. Season of the Hunt. I literally could sum up all my thoughts on it by the time I finish this mission, because it's just so, like... I don't know, people kind of crapped on it. It was just because it was uneventful, but they had all of Beyond Light to go with it, which is why I think that instead of having an actual separate season, like, we shouldn't really have gotten Season of the Hunt. I think there should have just been a... Oh, I'm supposed to go on those. Yeah. I think there just should have been a cleaner tie between Season of the Hunt and Beyond Light, and the season that launches with expansions from now on should really be more of an expansion of the expansions story, and less of like, all right, here's the expansion, all right, here's the season. Like, they're two just completely different entities. It's a little annoying and a little jarring. But to be fair, I hold this more against Beyond Light than I do the season of the Hunt. Like, trying to transition from Aramis and the Darkness on Europa to Xivu Arath attacking the Tangled Shore with the Spider and Crow, like, those have literally nothing to do with each other, so no wonder the season and Beyond Light felt so kind of... no wonder the two felt so disconnected. And I don't understand if they knew it was leading to the Witch Queen, and we knew it was leading to the Witch Queen, because they told us ahead of time that they didn't make Beyond Light more Witch Queen lead-up focus than just Darkness. But whatever. And obviously, getting the Crow was fantastic, because, like I said, the story wasn't super eventful, but the Crow is an incredibly beloved character, obviously. I very much enjoy him, and his moment with Zavala during Season of the Chosen was really the peak of Destiny storytelling. Like, it's not even close. Oh, I lost my Wrathful Plate. Yeah, the thing's still there, it doesn't matter. Ah, it's gone. Okay, doesn't, like, pull me into the center. No! Wait, here's how we're gonna do this. Bing. Get it, yeah! Bong, stasis. Who needs anti-barrier when you have stasis? Hello? Can I, there we go. And that's the end of Season of the Hunt story. But it is cool that the boss drops all this crazy loot. Yeah, sci-fi stuff, whatever. Oh, I forgot to mess with the frame rate. Shoot. Wait, can I go into settings right now and try this? Stream. Oh, that's not an option. Oh, output. I think that's more for recording. General. No. Oh, video. Oh, it's currently active. I would have to stop the stream and the recording. Yeah. Alright, we'll fix that next time. Sorry about the gameplay then, I guess. If anything, that was actually, like, important tonight out of any other night. Alright, yeah, so Season of the Hunt. Not great, not terrible. Just kind of small, I guess, you know? I definitely don't hate it like a lot of other people did. I obviously don't love it, but it's really not that bad. Season of the Chosen. I guess we should just do the Battlegrounds playlist, right? I haven't done these in forever. Battlegrounds are some of the best activities in the game. I am so unbelievably excited they are merging into the Strikes playlist. That sounded weirdly sarcastic, but I'm 100% serious. How do you even get hammer charges? I don't even remember. From Cabal Gold. I literally don't remember anything about this season. I basically didn't even play Season of the Chosen, which sucks because it was like the best season. I was just mad at Destiny for most of the start of it, and I was really busy with junior year of high school, obviously. Like, you know, AP tests and normal APs and just finishing off the junior year of high school in general. So I didn't play too much of the season. I don't even remember it that well. So this is definitely going to be one of the shortest reviews. But the story here, I did keep up with it. Like, whenever I heard there was like a weekly type of story update, I jumped on to see what was what. And the story definitely did not disappoint. This has a better story than any campaign or expansion ever has. The story of Zavala, Keitel, Crow, and also, what's his name? Lord Saladin, weirdly enough, was also a big part of the season, if I remember correctly. I loved the war table. For some reason, the war table's glitched, and I can't go to it anymore. I don't know what it is. I literally just cannot access the war table. But, like, just going to the war table, getting, like, a mission update from, like, a hologram of somebody, that was really, really freaking cool. And there was a lot of great character moments. Like I said, there was a moment, like, 2/3 of the way, maybe a little more, where there's like an assassination attempt on Zavala, but it fails by like some bad Cabal people. It wasn't Keitel, though. Keitel was meeting with Zavala and the Crow for a peace treaty, and Crow had worn a mask nonstop up to this point because we told him to, because we didn't want anyone to know he was Uldren. We didn't even want him to know he's Uldren. And during the assassination attempt, Crow's mask gets knocked off. Zavala sees he's obviously Uldren, but he sees that he's now, you know, reborn in the light. He's a guardian, he's a hero. And so Zavala offers him his hand, helps him get back up, and they forge, you know, their treaty with Keitel, and that is just spectacular storytelling. I actually kind of want to pull that cutscene up right now. Like, the cinematography, the music, like, everything about that cutscene. Imperial access codes, interesting, was just on point. Bungie knocked it out of the park with the story that season. And yeah, like I said, just getting it delivered through the war table, like, it might seem kind of simple, just getting a little half hologram pop-up of someone talking to you. I thought it was sick. Like, I don't know what it was, but getting a message on the war table really hyped me up to go do whatever that person was talking about. There were a lot of, like, heated arguments and stuff over the course of that season. And, of course, we got the two best strikes in the game, the Devil's Lair and, wait, which ones? It was, Devil's Lair and Fallen Saber, because the same thing, and it's the reason they're the best strikes in the game are the same reason that Battlegrounds are better than strikes, in my opinion. I really wish like I said, I'm so happy that they're getting mixed in with strikes, because I prefer them 100%. They are what I think strikes should be. Strikes now have turned into this weird, like, story-heavy, kind of long, almost like a really long story mission to, like, throw into your campaign, because, like, it's a little more eventful than just a standard story mission, so you need the two other people to kind of hype it up with you a little bit, if you know what I mean. I think that Battlegrounds are what strikes need to be. They're like 10 minutes long, just waves of enemies, no story specifically, just battle, and you fight a boss and boom, you're done. Bing, bang, boom, Battleground. They are spectacular, and they throw, so, like, look at this enemy. That's an enemy. Hey, look over here, and there's a bunch of enemies. And kablooey, there go those enemies. But oh my god, there's some enemies over here. And boom, look at those enemies go kablooey. And now, oh, there's these. And oh, Gallowhorn, because he has Solar Shield. And he has Solar Shield. Now the things are going to spread. Like, this is, I think you get the idea at this point. This is some peak content right here. As the Spider-Man TikTok I saw of Peter Parker swinging off in his new Spider-Man suit at the end of No Way Home once said, all I see is peak. I don't even know what I just said for like the last 30 seconds, but yeah, man, this is really, I love these Battlegrounds. I also always get this Battleground, I don't know what it is. There's so much variety in Destiny, but I feel like I get none of it ever. And that's why we need everything on rotation that is possible. Yeah, do I love Grasp of Avarice? Yeah, it's easily the best dungeon, because it basically just feels like a strike that's really long. Which, that might sound weird that I was complaining strikes are too long, but a dungeon gives you a lot of actual cool and exciting rewards, and are really fun moment to moment, unlike a strike, which can be kind of dull, especially with boss health boss health gating, and basically no rewards. So I would take a really long... what? Yeah, man, I don't know. I would take a match made. I think what Bungie should do with dungeons, this is completely off topic from Season of the Chosen, but I think with dungeons, when Bungie gets enough, just make a playlist, and make the playlist only accessible once you've cleared each dungeon 3 times. That seems like a pretty easy solution to me. That way, everyone knows what they're doing. You really don't need mics in a dungeon, and then, obviously, if you don't trust the playlist to be efficient enough, and not be overrun with blueberries, you just still LFG for it. Like, you know, I think a dungeon playlist with you just need 3 clears on each dungeon would be spectacular. And I would run it way more. I would, and obviously because they rotate, you can get the rewards from any strike or any dungeon at level. I think that would be great, but that's completely off topic from Season Chosen. So I think the hammer charges was definitely not balanced properly. I think lore charges, if I remember, they were like buffed to be balanced a little bit better, or the issue was that they were just too easy to get. Like, you never really had to worry about it, which, or no, they were definitely buffed. I remember there was a controversy where it was just taking way too long to get lure charges, that you were spending way more time doing strikes, Gambit, Crucible than you were actually doing the hunts, especially because the hunts were so short. Hammer charges, I think, were balanced better than the lure charges were initially, but they never really found their footing. Like, I certainly was never ever focusing Umbral Ingrams because I just never had enough freaking hammer charges unless I just sat in the playlist, and even then I really didn't feel like I was getting all that many charges. The playlist being the Battlegrounds playlist, but I never really felt like I was getting that many charges or anything. I think most people agree with that. I definitely remember Paul Tassi at least agrees with me, and Paul Tassi is he's daddy, so if he agrees with me, then that's fine. then that's enough. Oh, hello. I don't know where I'm going. Oh, and we got the Proving Grounds strike. Proving Grounds is... I mean, like I said, I think that Battlegrounds are what a strike should be, but I guess if Bungie wants to lean into what the strikes are kind of becoming, then Proving Grounds is pretty optimal for a strike. So really, Season of the Chosen was knocking it out of the park with all the content. It's like, it has a more interesting story than any of the other strikes. Like, oh, the Vex are opening a portal on Europa. Wow, big whoop. Versus like, oh, here's a humongous Cabal tank that's rolling through Nessus. Go inside, take down Keitel's champion, and show her who's boss. That's a cool story. Like, give me more strikes like that. And then obviously the setting of you're running around in this humongous tank that's actually moving is awesome. The final boss itself is awesome, unless you're playing it on Grandmaster, then it's probably a little less awesome. I wouldn't know, because I just would never even bother with Grandmasters. Like, those Grandmasters are so weird. I don't understand. I don't get Grandmasters. I get Masters. I don't get Grandmasters. They're just too ridiculous for me. Man, Rocket League has some bangers that I've been playing in the background here. I literally just went on Spotify, searched Rocket League playlist, I saw like a 10-hour long one. I was like, boom, I'm not even going to listen to a single one of these. And I just put it on, started the stream, bangers. I said that really weirdly. I meant to say bang, it's good. But then I realized bang, it's good. You know, songs are bangers, whatever. I also like that this boss, yes, obviously he has immunity phases. They're not as egregious as a normal strike, if you ask me. They're actually relatively short. Like, he kind of just moves to another position, and then he puts up, like, a bubble, and then you go into the bubble, and it's fine. And then eventually, you take the bubble down. Like, he didn't even go into a bubble here. So he just moved, and now we can damage him again. Totally fine. Friggin' Hollowed Layer. Could not be more excited that that's getting taken out of rotation. I really don't enjoy that strike, and I'm certainly not going to miss it. I don't think it's a very cool strike, or I don't think there's really anything that exciting about it. And the boss fight is just horrific, because every time I try to shoot the boss, he's immune. Yeah, now he puts up this bubble, and you shoot the bubble. The bubble generator. And then you shoot the boss. And he's not immune while you shoot him. So that's pretty crazy. I love doing that. Oh, I didn't even talk about stasis with Beyond Light. I feel like stasis isn't even a part of Beyond Light. I feel like stasis is just stasis. Stasis was an all-year battle. I think it actually was balanced properly during Season of the Chosen. That could have been Season of the Splicer. Definitely wasn't Season of the Lost. Or Season of the Lost. Yeah, no, it actually definitely wasn't Season of the Lost. And it definitely wasn't Season of the Hunt. So I'm not really going to give credit to stasis balancing to a specific season. But yeah, when it launched, I mean, in PvE, it's been pretty similar. It was a little bit stronger at launch than it is now. Now I think it's perfect in PvE, honestly. Like, I mean, I obviously can really only tell you about the Warlock. I just think the Titan one in general, like, there's nothing you can do. It's kind of just the Arc Smashy Boy, but ice. So it's not, it's like, it's fine. It's whatever. It's not very exciting. And the Thunder one is kind of just like Tether, but way, way, way better. Hunter finally has a subclass I would not mind using in PvE. I mean, it's mostly boss focused, but it's definitely not bad. And I really like the throwing star. That's pretty fun. Yep, see? Perfect. Easy run. That is what a strike should be. And now we come over this really cool looking chest. We got a bunch of loot. Also, the touch of the 3 chests, and then you smash one with your hammer. That's so cool. Like, come on, man. Stupid. Oh, Extraordinary Rendition. I need a god roll of that. I have my Cold Front for now, but I would prefer Extraordinary. Ooh, fancy. Wait, let's just shoot that really quick to see how it feels. Oh, wait, let's compare range really quick, because I want, oh, range is a lot better on Cold Front. What about stability? Stability goes to Extraordinary Handling. Okay, about the same. Reload speed about the same. Same rounds per minute. Same magazine. We'll see. I like my Cold Front, but if I ever wind up with a God rolled Extraordinary Rendition, I certainly wouldn't be upset about it. I don't have a God rolled Cold Front by any means, though. I have like a decently rolled one. I like the range masterwork. I like subsistence. And I think one of these was like the #1 perk. So I just masterworked it and said, okay, I'll take it. Hey, boots. And back to orbit. So yeah, Season of the Chosen. Probably Destiny's best season ever. I'm really sad I wasn't actually playing for most of it. We're going to exit the Battlegrounds playlist. All of the content, fantastic. I don't remember if it had like a big end of season type of thing. It didn't have... I think it had like a final strike or maybe a final battleground. But nothing that crazy. So yeah, then we got Season of the Splicer, which probably... It didn't have the most exciting story. We should probably do Override. Is there a way to specifically do Override Last City? That was really... I want to play that again. I could pick my location of Override. There's none there, so I don't know why I'm looking there. I don't really care. Override is an interesting activity for sure. It's probably, out of all the 6-man activities we've gotten, it's probably my favorite. Outside of the Menagerie, because, I mean, come on. Like, obviously. Astral Alignment, I hate Astral Alignment. I think it's actually, like... It's not unplayable, like it's fine, but I really have a aggressively strong disliking for it, shall I say. Oh, my mouse died. It's okay, I have 2 mice. The one that I prefer is dead. Yeah. So the story of Season of the Splicer. Let me take some water real quick. Story of Season of the Splicer was better than Chosen. I enjoyed Chosen's more, but I'm willing to say this had a much better story. You had, it's playing Crab Rape. Okay, let's close you. I did not realize that that's a Rocket League song. I'm just feeling the vibes. So yeah, you had all that stuff with Lakshmi trying to tell the future, and she thought like something really bad was coming, and we couldn't trust. I don't even remember. There's a lot of story to go over here. There was whoever we couldn't trust. We had to stop them because she's obviously a member of Future War Cult, so they try to see the future. There was Korea we had to take down because she was like infecting she was doing the thing that was not good. This story, like I said, it was definitely the best story. But it was also the most, because it was like the most complex story, and yeah, complexity doesn't automatically equal good. That's a general rule. That's not what I'm saying. I just mean it's hard to remember because it was complex, but I like the details I do remember is definitely the strongest story out of any of them. Quirrell was definitely the weak link. I didn't think it was that exciting, and finally taking her down wasn't. I mean, it wasn't boring. It was a fun mission. It just didn't feel like, yeah, Quirrell, she's dead. And then Lakshmi used Quirrell to do whatever that was, and then we got Override the Last City. But the story of the fallen dude with the gauntlet, our boy, Spicy guy, Mithrax. I definitely didn't forget his name. Story of Mithrax, the same 14. That's just the best story Destiny has ever told. Like, you cannot... oh, I should have brought... thing. Yeah, no, you cannot convince me there's a better story than the story of Mithrax and Saint 14. That cutscene with Saint, where it turns out he is literally like a nightmare that baby Fallen have, because he's murdered so many of them, and he like takes them, like, obviously a Ward of Dawn for us is spectacular, gives us some superpowers, gives us some shielding, some extra weapon damage. But with the Helm of Satan 14, to anyone who isn't with the light, a bubble is terrifying, especially when he drags you into it. Like, holy cow. So it definitely didn't make me see Saint 14 as a monster, but it made me see... It was. I don't think it was supposed to make you see him as a monster. It was supposed to make you see the Elixni as more, human. Like, we were doing what we thought was right. They were always doing what they thought was right, and we became each other's monsters. And so, obviously, we don't need to see how we saw Mithrax and, the Fallen as monsters, because we've had all of Destiny to see that. We had to see how they see Saint 14 as a monster, and it was definitely a very effective story tool, story moment, story beat, whatever you want to call it. And just generally, like, there was racism in that story, like how Future War Cult especially didn't like that the Fallen were coming in and taking humanity's resources. I mean, this is more of an overall Destiny problem, but we never really see how humanity itself is doing. We're really just kind of out there fighting aliens. Like, there's never any time we get to see the last city or anything like that. So it makes the conflict a little less interesting with Lakshmi thinking that they're taking our resources, because, I mean, as far as we know, we're fine. Like, humanity is fine on resources. Like, we could help out this like tiny alien tribe, basically. So yeah, it helps and hurts at the same time, because it makes the conflict a little less exciting, but it also immediately paints Lakshmi in a much worse light than if we didn't know humanity was on the back foot. Because if she had a better point, it would be more interesting, but like we don't know, how humanity's doing, so it just makes her extra villainous. So it's a plus and a minus. But obviously the ending Override with Saint 14 and Mithrax fighting side by side, and like, yeah, we'll stand together. No one, we're gonna, whatever. Yeah, we're gonna stand together. That's basically what it is. It's a great moment, and he's fighting Perfect Paradox, which got Sunset, so it's probably doing almost no damage, and it's also a shotgun, and the enemies were kind of coming from far away. Mithrax had his little laser gun that was probably doing something. So yeah, the last city override was a very solid end to the season. Lakshmi just getting murked off screen by the Vex invading. It was very satisfying because that was 100% her fault, so she really suffered the biggest consequences. And if anything, we got the opposite of negative consequences because we got an epic partnership with the Fallen. So sucks to be Lakshmi, I guess. And yeah, obviously, like, let's just look around. This is the coolest area in Destiny. That's not even up for debate. It just is the coolest area. Okay, well, I literally hate Unstoppable. I hate champions. Unstoppable champions are just everything I hate about video games. Insane amounts of damage in like 2 seconds, insane amounts of health, and they just kind of stand there and walk towards you slowly. That is the worst designed enemy I could possibly imagine. An unstoppable ogre. I mean, okay, yeah, there's worse enemies, like anything in Marvel's Avengers, because they either do nothing or actively make the game less enjoyable to play. But, like, just pure baseline, the worst enemy I could imagine is just that. Too much health, too much damage, not very visually exciting. Or not very visually exciting, not visually exciting at all. Like, really, boring and unthreatening looking. Gallahorn, baby. See, look at the moon. Moon looks so cool. This is the best looking thing in the game. We get the moon. This looks incredible. Just look at, like, the dirt. It just looks so good. And then, look at Earth off in the distance. It just looks so good, man. It looks so good in the sun. And then you get to go into the override, Techie Vex, whatever. It all looks so good. Yeah, so Season of the Splicer was, like I said, I just thought it was a little less exciting than Season of the Chosen. But overall, the story was a little bit better. Obviously, Override is I don't think it's as fun as a Battleground, but I think it's more interesting than a Battleground. Like, a Battleground is pretty ape-brain. Like, it's just kill a bunch of enemies in a pretty contained area, fight a boss, repeat, literally smash a chest open. This is, you're going through portals and whatever. It's a little more, it has more going on. It's more involved, for sure. But if I had to grind Override, actually, maybe I would rather grind Override. I would have to think about that, because Override, I feel like grinding such a mindless activity like a Battleground with no, like, they're not very varietous. They're just kind of, like I said, like I keep saying, ape-brain fun, so I feel like that would get less fun sooner than an Override would, but a 1-to-1, a Battleground is probably more fun. But I don't know, like, the Vex area just looks so good that it almost makes me like the entire event more as a whole. So yeah, both seasons obviously very, very strong. I obviously enjoyed both of them a lot. My thoughts aren't too complicated, as you guys can tell. Like, I either like it or I don't. Beyond Light had some things I liked, had a lot of things I didn't like. It was kind of bland. Didn't really like it that much. Season of the Lost, a little, also very similar to Beyond Light, a little bland. Didn't like it that much. Definitely didn't hate it though. I blame Beyond Light for a lot of its flaws, which is why I like Beyond Light a lot less. Season of the Chosen, very, very just, it was like okay. Here's how I'll say it. Season of the Chosen was like the Marvel movie season of just like, alright, things are getting going, this is looking good, this is fun. It's not very, like, mentally engaging, but, like, the high highs are really high, and just generally it was really fun to play through. And then Override is more like a really good Pixar movie, where, I've probably seen, Iron Man 3 and Infinity War more than I've seen Ratatouille. But, like, Ratatouille is Ratatouille. Like, it's a spectacular movie. Hopefully that analogy makes some kind of sense, but that's how I feel. And I guess now that I'm done talking about Season of Splicer, we'll get to Season of... Actually, I'm going to talk about 30th anniversary first, but I'm just going to kind of enjoy this override. Oh, no! Oh, yes. Oh, ooh, ooh. Oh, I never talked about any of the upgrade systems. Season of the Chosen, whatever, had a fine upgrade system with, like, upgrading the hammer. I don't know. I don't remember anything about the hammer, to be honest. Other than I found it unbalanced. Like, I never had enough of anything for the hammer, except for Cabal Gold I had too much of. But I'm not really going to complain about that, because I was just having too much means I literally never had to think about how much I was spending. Override, Splicer and Season of the Lost had the same system where you had like that table, like columns and rows type of thing that you were kind of slowly upgrading to get stronger at certain events. Or certain events, you know, the activity of the season, which I definitely think is the best form of like upgrades and seasonal progression. Because just, you know, playing the activity to get better at the activity, it makes sense. And a lot of them were actually really meaningful, like unlocking those extra paths and whatever else. Not that many are coming to mind because this was a while ago at this point. This was almost like 6 months ago. But yeah, no, overall, this was a great season. And like, this boss arena is so cool. Oh man, that Titan exotic though. Aw. And just like teleporting around, running through these areas. Especially with this Rocket League music, it's really fitting the vibe. Oh, hello. Okay, it's still tracked, so that's cool. I'm getting a little sick of moats with Override, especially. But the pick up the ball and dunk it to make a big thing happen, that will never not be satisfying. That's why literally every game does it. I mean, not literally. Like, every action game probably has a carry this and deposit it to make thing happen. Because it's, once again, it's kind of an ape-brain thing, but it works, so it works. Like, just having a humongous, chunky boss to shoot your rockets at. What more could a man ask for, especially in such a cool environment? So, let's finish him off real quick. Where'd he go? Go back here. Bonk. And now you get a nice chest with some loot in it. That's all a man needs. A little silver chest, a little fancy chest, some cool looking rewards. The armor this season, I don't personally wear it, but as a set, as a whole, it was definitely one of the strongest, if not probably the best looking seasonal armor. Except for the helmets. Okay, so yeah, this goes for most of the armor. The helmets looked really cool, but but I do not think you are gonna catch me wearing this one in the game very often. Like, yeah, that looks awesome, but I'm not wearing it. So, Season of Splicer, fantastic season. If I had to pick it between Season of the Chosen, now that I think about it, might be better. I don't know. I definitely engaged with it a lot more, but that's also kind of a product of when it was going on, versus Season of the Chosen was really only when I had a lot going on. Season of Splicer was a lot over the summer, so I had some time to enjoy it a little bit more. Yeah, let's talk about... We have like half an hour. Let's talk about 30th anniversary, because if you ask me, 30th anniversary and Season of the Lost, two completely different things. Yeah, the 30th anniversary happened during Season of the Lost. No, it didn't. We are in the 30th anniversary season, and we just so happened to have jumped back for Season of the Lost for a week. 30th anniversary is so simple, yet so spectacular. This year got off to such a rough start and came to a bit of a rough end. Okay. I'm gonna save that statement for the end. Okay. 30th anniversary, Dares of Eternity. Like, it's just funny. Like, this is just such a cool meta activity with the Paraverse, where we get the Halo weapons, we get the other games that Bungie has worked on weapons, like that sword I dismantled earlier and didn't think about. Yawn noise. Oh, God. Grasp of Avarice, like I said, is probably one of, if not my favorite activity in the entire game, because it's basically just, it's so easy, but it's just so fun. Like, I can't put real words into why I'd love it so much. It's just really, really fun, man. And that's all a video game needs to be. Really, really, really freaking fun. Should I... Nah. I don't really need a... I was thinking about switching my super... See, it's literally a game show in Destiny with Xur and the weird cosmic horse. Like, that's just... I don't know who came up with that. It's so stupid and has nothing... Like, especially with the stakes of the Witch Queen. Like, if you look at the trailer for the Witch Queen and then cut in footage of 30th Anniversary that came right before it. Witch Queen trailer, 30th Anniversary, Witch Queen trailer, like... Those have literally... They could not be more different. And yet, they're... I really hope the Witch Queen is going to knock people's socks off. And my socks when I get to it. But Dares of Eternity is just spectacular. Like, look, you get the fireworks. We're in Eternity, obviously. It's just cool. I enjoy it. Gallahorn. Yeah, and then obviously it brought in Gallahorn with it, which is a great weapon everyone loves. A lot of the 30th Anniversary weapons are great. I still haven't found the other half. I mean, it's not like I've been aggressively grinding for it. I don't have, like, everything. I'm not fully leveled in the, like, the Eternity Treasure Hall or whatever it's called. I'm pretty high, but not all the way. I haven't really been going aggressively at it. I've just been taking it for what it is, and I'll get the rewards when I get to the rewards, you know, whatever. It's because it's not getting vaulted, which is all that I really care about. So I don't even really have much to say about the 30th Anniversary besides it's a completely different season. It's more, I liked it so much because I didn't like Season of the Lost so much. Like, that came out wrong. I didn't hate Season of the Lost, I just, like, it's kind of like if you took a lot of the things I really don't like about Destiny and just kind of smushed it into one season. That's kind of what you would get with Season of the Lost. So 30th Anniversary was like everything I love about Destiny and smushed it together. So that's why it was really like this weird contrast, and I just view them as completely different seasons. I just went dead silent. I was just feeling the game for a minute there. Wow, this Rocket League song is also a banger. I bumped into my microphone. Everything black. Makes sense. Don't die. Okay. Don't die. Okay. Perfect. Oop. That's a lot of exploding boys. See, like, this is goofy. It's just sending, like, 100 exploding shanks at us. In this kind of, like, wacky design map. That's cool. So, yeah, season 30th Anniversary being everything I like about Destiny. Just a bunch of really cool guns. Like, I don't really care about the story or how they fit into the world. Just really cool weapons. You know, the halves of the swords, whatever. That kinetic shotgun is great from, like, Blade or Dungeon or whatever that Bungie game was. Oop, hello. I'm gonna die. That was fun. I was just looking back at it on the stream, seeing how everything looks. It's looking good. Let's see how I'm doing on drop frames. I don't think I have any. 0.1% of the stream has been dropped frames. I think that's fine. I'm not gonna hold my... Oh, okay. Do they explode if I do this? Yep, but not as intense. Okay, if they're not frozen, then it's still as intense. Yeah, so it's everything I love about Destiny. It has high enemy density, obviously, as you're seeing before you now. It has, like, they just throw out power-ups because you're just using your abilities left and right, just blowing everything up in front of you. Low stakes, good loot. Kind of funny in a weird way. It employs pretty much every part of the game. Like I said, obviously there's so many enemies that you're using your weapons, and there's definitely strategy to be had about especially in the legendary mode, which is one of the only like hard mode activities I've actually enjoyed in Destiny in like a very long time. About doing DPS and putting wells and putting bubbles and all that kind of good stuff, and when to super generally. It uses traversal, because Destiny actually has very interesting traversal systems. I wonder if they patched if going through backwards automatically gets you through. I don't think they did. Oh, hello. Because I've never not gone through just by... Yeah, okay, now it still works. The Wacky obstacle course is really fun, as I'm going to show you here. It's very simple. It took me like maybe 3 tries to get through all the way, but it's incredibly simple. Especially because I had to learn that trick about going through backwards, and then you just have to get through that part at the top, and then it's super easy. You don't even really need a rally banner. They're just giving you so much like loot and abilities and whatever else. Like it really, it's whatever. Like people usually don't rally in normal difficulty. Although the hard mode of this is one of the things why I see why it's not match made, like because it's a low stakes activity. That jumping into a low stakes activity where it suddenly becomes like difficult, then kind of I'm sure matchmaking for it would be a nightmare. So that makes sense that you have to find your own team. The title Vidmaster, love that. Obviously, as me being myself, I would love to be the Vidmaster. Because my Warlock is my main, I don't have it on, because I know it sounds stupid, I kind of take my Warlock seriously. Which is why he's a curse breaker. I'll look at him, and I'm just gonna take this guy out, and then I'll show you. There we go. If you look, I'm probably gonna die, but I really did try to go for this like dreaming city kind of magical vibe, like with the big glowy helmet and the celestial robes and the glowing boots and the matching that guy. I mean, my Sparrow is goofy just because I think it's funny, but I'll usually, if I want to take it more seriously, I'd put that Sparrow on. So he's either the Realm Walker or the Curse Breaker. I kind of flip between the two because they're both awesome titles that are very space magic-y. So my Titan is usually either Almighty if I want to take it seriously. I do Almighty or Chosen if I'm taking my Titan seriously, or he's usually my Vidmaster because he's my backup character, so he's a lot less serious. And my Hunter I hate Hunters. They're not fun to play whatsoever. They're also, have you guys noticed most of the really toxic players in the Destiny community are all Hunters? And the Hunters don't even have a Vanguard. I don't think it's a coincidence. Someone really needs to step up and tame all these Hunters out here. I can DPS you. Oh, you're not the boss. We have to just get these crystals or whatever, right? That's a bad idea. Ow. Stop, everybody. Stop. Oh, man. Alright, let's take out you. Come on, almost there. We got it. Yeah. Yep. Submachine gun, optimal loadout for this. Actually, it's not even that bad for this big crystal, because the odds I get flinched off of it. Can I... Seriously? It still didn't break? Can we all just... There we go. That's better. See? High enemy density. It's fun. Oh, watch out, bruv. Oh, I just channeled my inner British. I just said bruv, non-ironically. So yeah, I don't really have that much to say about the 30th anniversary as well. Like, it's just, it's peak Destiny to me. Because it's just like, okay, here's like a bunch of rewards to you just farm it and you get the rewards. Like, you don't have to do all this crazy stuff that you need all these guides and whatever for. Just go, have fun, enjoy the game, and you'll be rewarded for doing so. and the actual stuff that they put in for you to enjoy, i.e., that's the word or the phrase, Dares of Eternity and Grasp of Avarice are really, really fun. So they got that part right, which was arguably the most important part. That was a waste. Oh, never mind. There's too much. There's so much ammo. It doesn't even matter. So yeah, and then we'll talk about Season of the Lost. I'm gonna have to get off. I actually might have to leave this early. You know what? Whatever. Let's just talk about Season of the Lost without. I'm not gonna miss any of the Season of the Lost content, so I'm not really gonna play through any of that, even if the footage obviously doesn't correspond. So Season of the Lost. Season of the yeah, no. What? Yes. Season of the Lost. Season of the Lost sucks. I don't like Season of the Lost. That's definitely going to be a hot take. I really don't like it. It's pretty much everything I don't like about Destiny put together. Like I said before. Like, the Shattered Realm, it's cool. But the fact that you cannot get the title without looking up, like, 30, 40-minute long guides for 3 weeks straight, like, you have to do all 3 of them for the title. Yeah, okay, obviously doing all 3 of them for the title is, like, a basic requirement. But the fact that I can't just go into the thing and do it myself, I, like, need a guide or I'm not going to find everything. Unless I really go back week after week and, like, I manage to find something new every week. But I just don't have the patience for that. Like, Dares of Eternity, it's like, okay, yeah, it's going to take you a really long time to go through and unlock everything. But you just got to play it, man. Like, it's very fun and basic and easy. Shattered Realm is like, oh, here's a literal puzzle for you to solve that's like 6 steps, and you have to run halfway across the map to solve it. And it's like really dark, and it's in the Ascendant Realm and whatever, where you can't see anything. And there's also a legendary version that you have to complete, which is literally just the normal version, but with champions and high health, which is exactly what I hate about harder versions of stuff in Destiny. Like, go do that for the title. It's like, no, I really don't want to. I do not enjoy that at all. Obviously, I did it because Realm Walker, I couldn't pass that up for my Warlock. But if I wasn't trying to build this type of vibe, I probably would have just given up. Aww. Because, like I said, I just really straight up did not have a good time getting that title. As that guy, I think on Vine or TikTok or one of them once said, I'm straight up not having a good time right now. And then the 6-man matchmate activity was just really, really boring. All the enemies did so much damage and had so much health. And all the actual encounters were really boring. Like, none of them were exciting. It was like, here's a battery that you have to move, like, half a mile per hour and carry, like, halfway across this little map area. Go. Okay. And then here's a really tedious and annoying boss fight in the Blind Well that's been in the game since Forsaken. You don't even get a new area to go to. You just get the Blind Well, but it's, with a boss from Forsaken. Like, oh, wow, that's really fun to run on a loop, for sure. And the opening areas in the Blind Well, you literally go to the Blind Well, you kill a bunch of enemies, you walk across a bridge doing boring encounters, you come back to the Blind Well, and then you kill a boss, and half of them are health gated. It's like, could you make it any of the stuff I don't like about Destiny? Or could you add any other things in Destiny that I don't like? Oh, why don't you add a really boring and unengaging story? Okay, let's take 3 months off in the middle of our story. Like, okay, is that Season of the Lost's fault? No, the Witch Queen got delayed, so it's kind of hard to hold it against it. But did Bungie really, really have to wait till a week before? Like, did Exorcism really have to happen today? Like, couldn't it have happened a week ago, 2 weeks ago? I feel like, if anything, it would have been more interesting if they didn't delay the story and they actually just kept it on pace and then just had a really long break before the Witch Queen suddenly started, because it makes it more mysterious. Like, obviously, spoilers, I'm assuming if for whatever reason you're watching this video, you know what happens in Exorcism and you just don't care. Savathun just kind of escapes and we have no idea what happens, but she does give us Osiris and he is in critical condition and is probably going to die at the start of the Witch Queen to kick off the events. But, like, imagine if that had happened and we had 3 months of nothing and then, boom, army of Hive Savathun's controlling that are all using the light. You would have been like, oh my god, what just happened? But the fact that it's going to happen a week from now is a little less mysterious. It's like, okay, this was her plan. Clearly, she 100% had literally every single minute detail figured out. She was ready to put into action the second it was gone. Like, yeah, there's mystery for us because we don't know how she did it. But the fact that she did it so fast almost makes it less impactful because it makes it seem like, oh, it was really easy. And maybe the intention was like it's intimidating because she did it so easily, but that's really not how it's coming off for me. For me, it's just coming off as it was just easy, bro. I don't know what to tell you. So yeah, I really was not feeling the vibe for Season of the Lost. I think just running through and doing Shattered Run was cool, and I liked the idea that there were like some little hidden puzzles and stuff. Like, it's well designed. It's just how, like, the actual number of like trivial mysteries and enigmatic mysteries, and come back every single week to be able to do more and more mysteries because you've got to upgrade your like abilities that you can actually use in the thing. Like, I know I was praising that during Season of the Splicer, but for Season of the Splicer, it made a notable difference in Override and Expunge. Like, the thing that you're doing, you're grinding, and the thing that you're coming back to do like once a week, I think was the deal with Expunge. But from what I remember, I basically don't play Astral Alignment, so I actually could be wrong, but from what I can tell, the compass has literally... Hello? Oh, my Apple Watch just has to get charged before I go to sleep. It buzzed very aggressively to let me know. The compass had literally nothing to do with Astral Alignment. So if it's only impacting the thing I'm playing once per week, then, like, whatever. I don't know, man. Wow, the fact I covered both of these in one Dares of Eternity run, that's pretty good, I guess. Oh, yeah, like 15 minutes of talking about both. And the actual story, like, was it good this season? Yeah, for sure. But it was probably the weakest. Even, like, I don't know. It's hard to call it weaker than Season of the Lost, but I honestly think I enjoyed it less than Season of the Lost. Because Season of the Lost basically didn't have much of a story. It was kind of just like, okay, Crow is working with Spider. Spider wants to rule the shore, but Zebu Wrath is taking over. Go fight back Zebu Wrath and win Crow back, because he deserves to be a free man. That's a basic but enjoyable story because Crow is awesome. Having, like, Savathun was Osiris all year, which is why Osiris was acting really weird, and you guys all saw it coming a mile away, but here's the official reveal. Savathun is sitting in a giant crystal in Marosov's bedroom, and we need to go get Marosov's little witch ladies back, so that Savathun has a worm, kind of like Zol, but way more powerful, and the worm makes her need to do, like, evil planning stuff, so she wants to get rid of it because it's full control over her life. So we have to get all of my witches back, and then we have to realign the ley lines. I'm not even 100. Something about finding your way through the Dreaming City or something, so that we could get to the thing we got to get to. And then once the ley lines align and we have all my witches, we can exorcise Savathun's worm. But then Savathun breaks free from her crystal, because obviously, and then she escapes, and we don't know where she is. But we have the real Osiris back, but he's probably going to die, and Sayir's actually dead. That's the story of Season of the Lost. That's not a very good story. Like, I think it's objectively, the way I just put it out there. I mean, obviously, yeah, the way I describe Season of the Hunt as very straightforward, and Season of the Lost as, like, that makes it a little more biased. But my point still stands. Like, Season of the Lost, there's a lot going on, and it's very out there and weird, and a lot less engaging than just, here's this really chill guy that's basically imprisoned and kind of working like a slave. Go rescue him by taking down a big monster. That's a good story. So hopefully the Witch Queen's it's obviously going to be not very simplified, but that's an entire expansion that's going to be told over the course of a campaign versus like a 4-month or 6-month. What are we even at here? 6 days or whatever. But Festival of the Lost, like this was since Halloween, so this is a heck of a long season. Oh, I didn't talk about any of the exotic quests. I don't know. All of them were good. Agar Scepter is a great weapon. It's really, really cool. That's a great gun. That's a big point for Season of the Lost. It was a nice little mini arc that we got in there. But yeah, that was the Year of Destiny in review, guys. We've been on for a solid hour and 40 minutes. So I think that's where we're going to end it. I'll just give a little bit of a summary. I think that Destiny this year had a rough start, but it really exploded with Season of the Chosen, really kept that momentum going with Season of the Splicer, stumbled a little bit in Season of the Lost, and then kind of picked up a little bit again in 30th Anniversary. And I think the reason Season of the Lost stumbled was because, like, this is not Season of the Lost's fault. This is Beyond Light's fault. Beyond Light was just so disconnected from where we're going in the future. And so it definitely makes... It doesn't make the year of Beyond Light bad. It makes Beyond Light as an expansion bad. And that has meant... Like, the fact that the expansion of that year has been bad has meant the least it's ever meant this year, because the season stuck around all year, unlike, last year where it was kind of one and done, and it really felt like Shadowkeep was kind of carrying most of the year, which was weak. The season stuck around all year. They had all the season stories flowed one into the other, like, really, really well. Almost all of them had really good stories. Season of Lost kind of lost me, and overall, I'm just really excited for the next year, and I think Witch Queen is going to be a less, it's going to be more exciting, but it's going to be a bit of a darker tone from what I can tell, a little more intense, like Guardians and humanity find themselves a little bit more on the back foot, versus Shadowkeep, where it was kind of just like, okay, here's a spicy nacho, and then Beyond Light, it was like, okay, here's an even newer spicy nacho that's giving you Ice Dorito powers. Witch Queen is like, oh, these enemies are just as powerful as us and have the one thing that basically makes us unbeatable. That's unfortunate. What are we going to do about that? So we formed a bunch of alliances, obviously, over the course of this year, and I really hope they're put to good use next year, and are really, our bonds that were forged with Crow, with Keitel, with Mithrax, with Marasov, they're really put to the test, and we really see what these characters are made of and see the whole story shine and really start to build to a climax towards Lightfall next year. So, thank you guys so much for watching. This was probably the least I've played in the Year of Destiny. That's a little unfair, because I joined halfway through Forsaken, but I was really grinding Forsaken. I really grinded Shadowkeep, except for the first season, because I just didn't really get the seasonal structure, but that doesn't really matter. This year, it was a little iffy, but I overall enjoyed it. It was probably the best year of Destiny. I just personally enjoyed Shadowkeep's year more. I just had more time to devote to it, and I thought the seasons, in terms of what content they were delivering, was a little more even than, like, this is really good content, this is pretty awful content that I really hate, this is kind of no story, but it doesn't really matter because the content is good, this is kind of a lot of story to keep track of at once, but I'm enjoying it at the same time. So yeah, very mixed feelings, but I enjoyed the year, and I'm looking forward to the Witch Queen. So thank you all so much for watching, and keep it crispy. Once again, I'm going to remain eye contact while I stop the recording.